A Traveller's Guide to the Forgotten Realms, Episode 5, The Search for Wave Echo Cave, and an Introduction to the Dwarves. My Lord Sandrier, please accept my apologies for the brevity with which the last letter ended. Toblin, the proprietor of the Stonehill Inn, found it on the table at which I had sat, passed out. He then kindly handed it to the runner with the morning post headed out of Fandlin, very much unfinished. The reason I didn't get to properly complete the letter was, frankly, that I was very, very drunk. Then I woke in the middle of the night with such a fever, raving and frantic, that I was taken from my room in the Stonehill Inn directly to Sister Gorel. Apparently, I was rambling and so hot that several of the men couldn't touch my bare skin. It took Nundro, the younger Rockseeker brother, who is for some reason apparently almost immune to heat, throwing me over his shoulder to take me to her. The sister tended to me with ice and tinctures, none of which did anything. Then the fever abruptly broke at sunrise, and I somehow awoke refreshed and clear-headed, which was a surprise considering the amount of drink I enjoyed with the brothers Rockseeker. I have no memory of any of this before my waking. Instead, I was troubled with strange dreams of fire and soaring through the sky amongst ice-capped mountains. There seems to be no explanation forthcoming about what was actually wrong with me. Gorel has put it down to a side effect of drinking strange, quasi-magical mushroom wine made by distant crazy gnomes. In any case, Gundrin was waiting for me as I stumbled out into the light 3 days ago. "Glory, Falrien! Glory and riches and honour await us!" he cried, shaking my hand like he wanted to wrench it off. I grabbed what small gear I possess and joined him and his brothers Tharden and Nundro on their cart heading down the south road, his enthusiasm and energy apparently undimmed by at least a gallon of ale that he consumed the night before. We bade farewell to Fandolin again, with Triana, Toblin's wife, giving us a small parcel of sandwiches, and Gorel offering us a blessing from her goddess of good fortune, something I was glad for. We headed south, retracing most of my previous path with the Greenheart clan, even resting that first night in the same secret campsite. After that first day, I felt I was starting to get to know the brothers. The trio are serious characters. Gundrin is an adventurer, a seeker of long-lost treasures and worshipper of Dumathoin, god of lost things and the dwarvish dead. He's good fun, but driven and ambitious, always talking about the ancient realms of his people and how much they've lost. He's also apparently restless, describing himself as having itchy feet. His twin is Tharden, though they scarcely look anything alike. A businessman first and foremost, he's quietly competent and always smiling. He trained as a wizard in Silverymoon in the Silver Marches throughout most of his childhood and hated every moment, despite being quite naturally talented. The twins are around 80 years old, so still young for dwarves. Nundro is younger than them by a few years, a single-born dwarf in his late 60s. He's the muscle, a dour and hard-working fighter, hard and serious as the stone the dwarves were carved from. He's also, quite strangely, a poet, who seems to prefer the company of his harp over me or his brothers. It was Tharden that set up our accommodations when we arrived, placing a small crystal bead on the ground while chanting and making runes in the dirt. After a short spell, a shimmering dome appeared, centred on the crystal. It was like looking into a giant curved mirror. Tharden brushed his hand over the surface and a hole appeared. Inside, I could see clearly out, and he assured me that we would be warm and safe all night. We were. The temperature didn't drop so much as a single degree, even in the small hours, and we were able to watch the stars wheel overhead, Tharden naming all of the planets visible in the sky. Apparently, though it is not widely known, Toril, the world we all live on, is not the only one in Realmspace. High, far in the sky, if one travels high enough, the air gets thin to the point one suffocates, and the blue of the sky fades to black. You see, Toril is actually like a ball, a sphere that floats in what is called Realmspace, heated by the sun in the middle. Far, far away, Tharden claims that there is a wall, a shell that encloses the entirety of Realmspace, a cold shell of totally impenetrable material that he was shown through a magic looking glass in Silverymoon as a youth. The sun, apparently, is a giant ball of fire, home to fire elementals and cared for Amonator and other gods of other pantheons, such as Utu in Unther. It gives heat and light to the Realmspace and the other 7 worlds of the sphere, most of which are inhabited. Tharden can name them all and has advised me to visit a place of learning such as Silverymoon, Mithril Hall, or Candlekeep to learn more. The 3 brothers are far more learned than I expected from a trio of adventuring treasure seekers, eagerly talking into the night, discussing theories for their current goal. Apparently, Gundrin received a vision from Dumathoin a little over 3 years ago, showing him a lost place of power and tasking him to find it. "It's vague though," Gundrin said, furrowing his brow. "Dumathoin doesn't speak, you see. He expects us to seek and reason for ourselves." "And we get dragged along on your quests, don't we, brother?" needled Nundro good-naturedly. It seems that the brothers are seeking a place of great power, a hold and rich mine of mithril and platinum that was lost in the 10th century DR at the hands of the same orcs that destroyed Old Phandalin, and its location was lost. The next morning, after Tharden popped our shelter like a soap bubble, we got underway, heading east along the edge of the mountains, and Gundrin told me the history of the place that we sought. From what he's been able to piece together, the mine was founded long, long ago and became wealthy enough to cause other local dwarves, gnomes and humans to band together in the creation of the Fandelver's Pact, which I've discussed before. Apparently, a source of great magical power was there, which attracted wizards and the people of Phandalin. Together they made something that Gundrin is calling something that translates into the Forge of Spells, which had the power to make magical weapons very, very easily. But it all fell apart when the orcs came. "So that's what we're about, to restore a great power of our people," Gundrin said, looking back at me from the seat of their cart as we rattled along the hillsides. "And I'm about ensuring that we get a reasonable percentage of the future proceeds of what sounds like a tremendously wealthy mine," Tharden whispered to me. "Not that helping to save our people isn't payment enough, of course," he added with a wink. That was 2 days ago. I continue this message from inside another of Tharden's domes, what he calls Leomund's tiny huts, in honour of the spell's creator. The brothers are out surveying a potential site nearby and have asked me to stay with their mounts. Apparently, surprisingly, I'm not the best suited to the kinds of work spelunking into ancient caverns and translating scraps of runes carved into long-lost signposts. They have, however, set me to translating some dusty tomes from Elvish Esbruar to Chondathan, the human language of Northern Faerun, and Dethic, the language of Northern Dwarves. The piece I'm working on at the moment discusses the difference between the different races of dwarves found in Faerun and their origins. You see, the origin of dwarves, or the stout folk, is not as certain as it is for elves or men. For their part, they believe that they were forged from the heart of Toril itself by Moradin Allfather, Soul Forger, and Dwarf Father at the dawn of time. They hold that the first of them was born fully formed of mithril and iron and given life by Moradin's breath. Most non-dwarven scholars believe that dwarves are actually migrants to Toril, but from a time so long ago that they have become one with the world, to the degree that they are as at home here as are humans or any other species that came to be. So, whether they were made here or brought here, they are native enough as to make no difference. Dwarves worship their own gods, the Mundinsaman, the Shield Brothers on high, led by Moradin Allfather. All dwarves, regardless of kind and creed, at least pay homage to Moradin as the creator of their species, even while some, such as Gundrin, may primarily worship another Mundinsaman, or even one of the Faerunian gods, such as Lathander or Azoth. The earliest definitive records of dwarves have them founding settlements in the mountain range of the Yehimal, an intersection between Faerun, Karatur and Zakhara, around 3,000 miles to the southeast. From there, they spread out into all 3 continents. Those who came west first settled deep beneath Semfar on the opposite side of Bright Star Lake, north of the Plains of Purple Dust on the very furthest edge of Faerun. I hope we will travel there together one day. Gundrin has made me swear to take him with me should I ever make the journey. In these ancient days, tens of thousands of years ago, all dwarves were just dwarves, with few differences between them. Now they're a diverse people, with a range of appearances, customs and attributes, though all tend to being significantly shorter than humans, broad and powerfully built, with great faculty for crafting and working with their hands. Dwarves are a proud people, and sad at their decline after millennia of conflict with their enemies. They have few answers for how to save their future. They tend to be grim and are obsessed with fine craftsmanship and excellence in general, rarely being satisfied with anything. Stoic to a fault, they are generally slow to trust and hold grudges like no other people. They value fellowship, thanksgiving, and honouring the dead and past. Dwarves find pessimism natural, though they usually see it as caution, seen in common sayings such as "every fair sky hides a lurking cloud" and "the gold you have yet to win gleams the brightest." This leads them to a high degree of preparedness in all situations, always being ready for the worst. As such, adventuring with a dwarf frequently means that there will always be a spare weapon available, or extra rations, but might well result in them being weighed down with supplies to satisfy even obscure and improbable outcomes. As an aside, this is especially true of Nundro. His baggage alone takes up most of the cart. All of these features seem highlighted in the brothers Rockseeker. They each bring their own personal strengths to their search, which they pursue with a singular focus. I would like to continue about the history of dwarves, but they are returning. I will down tools for now. I remain as ever your faithful servant, Falrien. There is always another dawn. If you like this video, please like and comment so I can know whether people are appreciating this kind of content. then subscribe and ring the bell to remain notified of new releases. Please have a look at fiverr.com/characterlore if you would like a custom-made character, NPC, organisation or town. But if not, rest assured, I value each and every one of you viewing my videos. All hail Shauntia, the Great Mother. This is Thomas, of the Lore Lounge.